that, I'm going to add a stream marker right here. Now here's the question. Did that actually go through? I'll have to Alt-Tab right quick, because I went to see. Can I look through those? No. So I'm going to add a marker right here. So, we're going to be doing the Death Stranding LP's VODs a tiny bit different, like a skosh. We're going to be taking the last parts of the stream to read the emails. And emails, any new data shards we get, anything of interest. Articles, whatnot. I feel like this is the only way I can do it without dragging the LP down. These are, I'm going to just call them intermissions unless I find a really cool name for it. But let's go. Menu. Mail. Okay. So George Baton. More than Oxy. Sam the Man, our savior. Things are looking up here at the way station. Everything feels better somehow. We were all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when we set ourselves up, but 3 years of isolation and loneliness will change anyone's tune. Hell, when we first got here, we were putting up signs for porters and whatnot, but after a while, some guys were too scared to even set foot outside. When Central went up, I told myself that was it. America's done. Everyone was feeling it too, and the mood was just bleak. And then you waltzed in. I know what you're thinking. First, I thought it was just the oxytocin too. But that's not it. Not all of it, anyhow. You gave us the glimmer of hope we needed by bringing us back into the chiral network. We're back in the game now. Been thinking of putting up signs again, even. Watchtowers, too. Before long, we'll be opening up new delivery routes. Mark my words. It's still scary out there, though. All the oxy in the world won't help us deal with mules, let alone BTs. We shit ourselves every time we catch sight of one and end up dropping half our equipment. Honestly, a part of me is still a little worried that we won't be able to keep it up. That's why we need you, Sam. You're not scared of anything, right? So go show us how it's done. And then Benjamin Hancock. Sorry, Sam. Bad news. Thanks for delivering those rare metals, Sam. Everyone at the Distro Center really appreciates you coming through for us. I'm afraid I've got some bad news for you, though. That bike you saw outside, battery's dead. You'll have to give it some juice if you want to use it. Only need to do it once, though. Auto charger should kick in after. Sorry if I got your hopes up, and got some more bad news for you, too. You see, different facilities have to work together, sharing materials so everyone gets what they need, and make sure that everything that's produced gets put to proper use. That's why guys like you are important. Without porters, whole system falls apart. Whole world, even. Anyway, there's this guy, George Baton, over at the way station. He used to be a reliable porter, but lately it's like pulling teeth trying to get him to make even the simplest delivery. Keeps bitching about being scared or not having enough oxy or whatever. Always some excuse. Even when he does agree to make a run, it's liable to lose half a load en route. So yeah, that's why we're a bit short on materials at the moment. I'm sure he'll soon help us to put that to rights. We're counting on you, Sam. Okay, so now I think we have... Yeah, okay. So memory chips. We have Framearms Byakko. Framearms is a series of original plastic robot figurines created by Kotobukiya, one of Japan's premier manufacturers of plastic models. Each robot shares the same basic frame architecture, with different external parts being attached to create individual mechanoid. The Byakko, White Tiger figure, is a rare masterpiece, based on one of Yoji Shinkawa's designs. Fully realized world and captivating story behind the Framearm series won many dedicated fans. Yo, this is Yoji? Okay, I didn't know that. Interviews. Mules and drone systems from Die Hardman 2 years ago at Bridges HQ. Bridges' primary objective is to rebuild America. And in order to rebuild, one of our main tasks is to reconnect cities and other settlements by re-establishing a delivery network. Before the Death Stranding, the comms and delivery networks were what held together society. The whole thing was automated, AI managed, deliveries carried out by drone. The brief was that taking people out of the equation would revolutionize the entire system. But things didn't quite pan out that way. Instead, we started seeing cases of what would eventually be dubbed drone syndrome. It was too much for some folks to accept, leaving everything to machines and nothing to the common man. And indeed, the oxytocin deficiency and hormonal imbalances we confirmed seemed to back up that assessment. Humanity needed to be a part of the process, so laws were put in place, and we stepped back into the picture again. Now what happened? All the people put out to work by machines who got called up again convinced themselves society didn't survive without them. Oh shit, maybe. And that brought on a whole new disorder. Delivery dependence syndrome, they called it. When the Death Stranding tore us apart, the delivery system spiraled even further. It wasn't helped by the fact that chiral clouds prevented planes and drones from flying, which meant that we had to go back to relying completely on human couriers whether we liked it or not. Eventually, delivering goods became all some live for. They were obsessed, addicted, consumed by the desire to deliver. Over time, they turned into the mules we know and love today. From Deadman, about a year ago at Bridges HQ. Look, I'm kind of new here at Bridges, so I don't know if any of this will be useful to you, but I'm happy to talk about BBs if you want. They call me Deadman on account of my familiarity with the dead. Get it? We've always been on good terms, you see. Used to have regular little chats back when I worked in the morgue. Anyways, that's also the reason I work on BB maintenance and research, to learn more about those who are no longer with us. But I digress. Fact is, BTs were already being issued to our forces in the field before I joined Bridges. What's more, research into the little guys had already been conducted long, long ago. But no one took the plunge and put what they discovered to practical use. Still, what that did mean is that when Bridges wanted to build our own BBs, most of the work had already been done for us. So we just needed to follow the instructional manual, so to speak. Which isn't to say that we have any idea how they work, not how they can detect BTs or how they can connect to this world to the other side. We still have much to learn about our little friends. But one thing's for certain. Their continued study will lead us to a greater understanding of the Stranding, and of life and death itself. That much I can assure you. Well, I think that's about all I have to tell you today. Hopefully, I'll have something new to share next time we chew the fat. See you around, I guess. BB echolocation from Deadman about a year ago at Bridges HQ. Dolphins use a sensory mechanism known as echolocation to keep track of both their fellow pod members and any potential prey. As the name suggests, they produce sounds which bounce off of objects and return as echoes, allowing them to get an idea of their surroundings. Interesting in of itself, of course, but what I find far more interesting is the recent research suggesting that BBs use a similar method to detect BTs. As you know, BB pods are designed to mimic the conditions inside a human womb and are key to preserving the BB's connections with this world and the next. Well, recent research now suggests that BBs are capable of producing something not unlike a dolphin's sound waves. These pulses travel through the amniotic fluid and out the other side, bounce off BTs, and return as echoes, allowing BB to ascertain the location of threats. Pretty cool, right? And now Hartman. Timefall. About 3 years ago at Bridges HQ's lab. Timefall was first recorded when the Death Stranding occurred, and despite all the years that have passed since then, we are no closer to understanding how or why it accelerates the passage of time for the objects and organisms it touches, or why it immediately turns to ordinary water upon having done so. Some researchers have gone as far to posit the process as stealing time. As for why timefall is observed in only certain places, all that we know for certain is that it is somehow affected by local chiral concentrations. This is merely a hunch, but something put me in suspects of the death. Something in me suspects that the Death Stranding may have warped our perception of the passage of time. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, you understand? We humans can conceive of both our own deaths and even the possibility of a place beyond death, yes? We have the capability to conceptualize the future, an evolutionary advantage which aids our development as a species. Well, what if Timefall's given us a new, supercharged version of that essential ability? One that will take us to the next stage of our evolution. Perhaps we wouldn't need to hole ourselves up in knot cities. Perhaps in time, the Death Stranding will become to see as the phenomenon that saved our species. Exciting thoughts, I'm sure you'll agree. I, for one, can't wait to set out on our journey. Who knows what awaits us? Egyptian mummies, pyramids, etc. from Hartman, about 3 years ago at Bridges HQ. At what point can it be said that a man truly understood what it meant to die? It would seem reasonable to suggest that it was when we began to get. It would seem reasonable to suggest that it was when he began to bury his dead, a practice which originated with the Neanderthals. In a way, one might say that our growing understanding of death drove our development as a species, our fear of it, our attempts to conquer it. Why, it could be argued that our entire history revolves around these obsessions. Take the Great Pyramids of Egypt, or the tombs of the ancient emperors of China. The more powerful the person, the bigger and grander their final resting place. Or, to posit a more radical theory, could the very concepts of power and society themselves have emerged solely to facilitate the creation of such monuments, such challenges to the finality of death? Either way, in leaving behind something that they hoped might endure through the ages, the builders of these edifices believed that they too might live on forever. The the mummies of the Egyptians are another means by which man sought to fulfill this desire to escape and finally the finality of death. They were created that the spiritual self, the Ka, would have a physical vessel, or Ha, to which it would return. The Sokushinbutsu, or mummified monks of Buddhism, are similar in this respect. However, the monks in question aim to transition straight from life to Buddhahood. In other words, to forego death altogether. But now that the beach has brought us into direct contact with the world beyond, our relationship with death must further evolve. The next stage in our understanding is upon us. The Coral of the Seam, about 3 years ago from Hartman at Bridges HQ. Life began in the oceans. As it evolved, it graduated to land. At least, this is what was believed until recently. To creatures of the sea, the land is a harsh and unforgiving place. Given this, what could possibly have compelled these organisms to make such drastic transition? Consider these fossils of the first fish to adapt themselves to land have been found in regions with unusually large tidal range. Could it be that these creatures developed legs in order to swiftly return to the safety of the sea when stranded? Could their evolutionary leap have been triggered by this traumatic experience? If so, could similar circumstances have shaped the evolution of the coral-like organisms that inhabit the seam, and driven them to develop an ability to live between life and death, between time and timelessness? Coral is, after all, older than any organism on land, and hardly enough to have weathered the mass extinction of 540 million years ago. And it is a life form upon which many other organisms rely on survival. Bearing this in mind, one could argue that for the ability to survive in the seam, it's indicative of a profound evolutionary leap. Cryptobiotes from Fragile. About 2 years ago, Fragile Express HQ. We call these bugs cryptobiotes. They were recorded in reference books and databanks before the Death Stranding, but nobody ever seems to give them a proper classification, so cryptobiotes they stayed. They're named for the process of cryptobiosis, which means hidden life. When environmental conditions get too harsh, or resources too scarce, cryptobiotes can shut down their metabolic processes and enter an almost death-like state in order to survive. Tardigrades and sleeping chiromids are capable of this too, but the cryptobiotes are on a whole other level. They can survive anything and anywhere, even the beach or in the seam. And they aren't capable of prolonging only their own lives. Humans who eat them acquire limited resistance to timefall, too. You won't find them lying around just anywhere, though. You'll need to know where to look. Not many people even know they existed until recently, so next to no research has been done. But now that their beneficial properties have been recognized, I'm willing to bet that they'll play an important role in helping us understand the beach, the Death Stranding, and everything else. Dooms in the Zodiac, from an astrologer 5 years ago in the office in Central Knot City. Astrologers have, like me, are used to having our work dismissed, incorrectly of course, as unscientific mumbo-jumbo. But since the Death Stranding, more and more people have started to take an interest in what's known as astrophysiology, or astropsychology, I'm sorry. A discipline that combines astrology with various forms of psychology. The fact that each person has a beach to which they are spiritually connected has doubtless continued to this trend. These days there are even more psychotherapists who use astrological techniques in their counseling sessions. Perhaps the most interesting recent development of all, however, is that the discovery of the alignment of celestial bodies at the moment of one's birth can influence one's relationship with the condition known as dooms. Of course, chiralium in the Earth's atmosphere means that it's difficult, dare I say impossible, to actually observe the constellations at any point. To come to this conclusion that they therefore have no effect upon human lives, however, would be a foolish error indeed. I think... Log. Okay, that's literally our activity log, like the game said. And manual is just tutorials. Okay, so we're caught up. I'm having a lot of fun with this. I'm genuinely glad to be getting back into Death Stranding. I did like some test recording earlier just to make sure everything worked properly, but like I'm excited to do more Death Stranding, and frankly I'm aware that it dragged ass a little bit to watch due to just the fact that like you know how it goes. It's just like it drags ass because the game starts with a lot of lore, a lot of cutscenes, shit like that. And I understand that that's a small problem. If anyone would like to, or wait, no, I introduced this wrong. Sorry. So, if you stuck around for all that and enjoyed it, thanks a lot, I appreciate it. If you'd like to support the channel more directly, there are links below, or if you're watching to things like the Stream Elements tip link, the community Discord server, and the throw and wishlist, or you can just click whatever's in chat. More Death Stranding on the way. This will be our next big thing. Parts might be longer in the future, but it's a bit late here because I plan to do a collab that just kind of fell flat because of my computer shitting the bed. At the moment, though, I've got nothing else. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you.